Good morning, Instagram. How's everybody doing today? Coming at you from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, with our weekly wellness off the mat. I'll just kind of hang for a minute, let some people pop on. Hope everybody's having a lovely weekend. It's getting to be that busy time of year. There's lots going on. The hustle and bustle starts. So it's a good time to remember to take some time for ourselves, for sure. But that's another story. Let's see. What do we got today? We just wrapped our coffee and a chat a few minutes ago. If you guys have not been seeing my posts or following, that's a new group we started 3 weeks ago now. This was our third meeting. We get together on Sundays just to drink some coffee and chat. It's inspired by some other groups I'm involved in, and just like the kitchen table, right? I don't know. For me, I have a connection to the kitchen table. There's a lot that just, I don't know, especially like at my grandmother's house, like you go to Grams, life happens at that kitchen table. We solve problems, we fix the world, everything goes down there. So that kind of idea helped inspire the coffee and a chat group to come together and see if we can hammer out some of our stuff and celebrate when we need to celebrate and all of those good things. So anyway, we'll get started. So we open up coffee with the chat with drawing a card. And I really like the one that we drew today, so I'm going to share it with you guys also. Maybe sometimes I'll draw our own card for here, but like I used to. But I really liked this one, so I thought it'd be a good one for today. It's got a nice little sunflower on it. And it says, try smiling. Whenever you have a fearful thought, try smiling, because psychology can follow physiology. Or in other words, change your body and you can change your mind. Try it. It's really hard to worry or be afraid with a smile on your face. And I was kind of teasing the girls that I do this a lot in my yoga class, right? Like we'll get all those cues and put you in a pose, and then my last cue will be to smile, because it's hard to focus on anything negative once you put that smile on your face. And I learned that from other teachers who torture us in difficult poses and then make us smile. And it really does just make a difference, right? You put that smile on your face and it just fixes things. And we've talked a lot, we always talk a lot about our mindset, right? Whatever that mindset is can be really powerful in changing our reality in the world around us. We don't always have control. Well, not always. We don't have control over what's happening to us or around us or what's going on in the world, but we do have control with how we respond to it and what we choose to respond to. So if you're having a hard day, maybe just try finding something to smile about and see how it can maybe uplift and brighten your day a little bit. So that's our card and our message for today, and it's gonna, I don't know if it'll tie into what we're talking about, but something that we brought up in the group was that this morning was that, sometimes we learn these things, or, each week we have like a takeaway from our group. So, maybe it doesn't hit that week, right? Sometimes we read something or we learn something, or, we're going to like therapy or a meeting, or we're working on things and we're bringing in this stuff, but it doesn't always click, or it doesn't always get implemented right away. And sometimes we might feel as though maybe we're not making the progress that we want to be making. And then the example used today from our group was like something major happens, right? Like something disruptive comes along, and something that's difficult, something that's challenging, and you handle it. And maybe you handle it differently or better, or your mindset is different. You just notice that this goes down a little differently than normally it would. And you realize, oh, that's that thing I learned. That's that tool I learned in therapy. That's that thing my therapist has been mentioning. That's what that book was talking about. That's what we were talking about in class that last week. So just that idea of like planting a seed, right? And we never necessarily know when it's going to bloom. But if we just keep bringing in these good things, maybe eventually we'll have this really beautiful garden, right? So just the idea of taking some of the pressure off a little bit, right? It's not about perfection, it's about practice. And that's another thing we talk about in yoga, right? And when I say yoga, I'm not just talking about the funny shapes that we make on a mat, right? That people post pictures of on social media and everything. Like, yoga is a way of life. It's a philosophy. It's a way of approaching the world. It's a much bigger system than just some poses on the mat. That's a very, very teeny tiny piece of what yoga is. It's an instrumental piece, but it's a small piece. So when we're saying yoga, we're talking about that really big system and all-encompassing philosophy, mindset, and all of that stuff. So, when we talk about yoga, we're talking about it as a practice. It's not perfection. And that's not really the idea. The idea is learning to have that compassion for yourself, learning to, approach yourself with a little bit of grace, meet yourself where you are, right? So knowing that when you fall off that practice, you just come back onto it rather than getting that mindset of, oh, I suck, I can't do this, blah, 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 whatever, and getting down on ourselves, and then we just don't do it, right? I've set so many lofty goals for myself, and then inevitably at some point I fall off, I fail, I mess up, it doesn't happen, and then you're just like, oh, forget it, I can't do that. Right? Like, we all set New Year's resolutions. I'm going to wake up every day at 5 a.m. and I'm going to go to the gym and I'm not going to eat anything. I'm only going to have lettuce and I'm going to lose 60 pounds by, January 15th. And we put these like insane things and we're trying to change our whole life in one plan, in one moment. How many of you have ever been successful with doing that? Anybody? Not me. Never. Not once. Maybe for a little while, right? Maybe a week, 2 weeks. Maybe you make it a month. But when we're trying to do that really big change, it can be really, really hard and overwhelming. And we have to remember, the patterns that we're in now took a long time to build, right? I've got some habits that are 30 years old. Some mindsets that are 30 years old. It's not going to fix in one day, in one practice, in one try, right? It's very unlikely that that's going to happen. So I've learned to have that little bit of compassion and that little bit of grace and remember that I need to meet myself where I am today, right? So what's like one thing I can do different from today, tomorrow, so that I can progress towards that change that I'm trying to get to. Right? So if we sit down, make that big lofty goal, create that big thing that you want, and break it down into smaller pieces. What's one thing? What's one good thing you can bring in today? If you're trying to change the way you spend your free time, just pick like one thing this week that you can do different. Right? If you don't take enough time for yourself, that was our homework this week. Last week we talked about non-negotiables, but more so in the sense of like tasks and things to do. And this week, everybody's homework was self-care, yummy, juicy, non-negotiables. So like one thing you can do for yourself that's going to make you feel good. And that's everything. Just pick one thing and remember that it's a practice, that you're learning, that you're trying to change these deep habits and deep pathways in your mind that you've spent a lot of time creating, whether you wanted to or not. So see where you can, have a little bit more grace and compassion for yourself and remember that it's that practice, right? And we're going to get further if we fall off and come back, 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 than if we fall off and forget it, right? And never try. Which we all know from personal experience, right? All those January 1st goals that I set for myself that I've never, made it to. I've never made it to. I never went back to them, right? I didn't wake up in June and go, oh shit, right, I forgot about that New Year's resolution. Nope, I fail, I suck, I'm not even going to try. But if we change that mindset, I'm just gonna try. I'm just gonna try and see how this works. I'm gonna try it for 1 month. I'm gonna try it for 1 day. I'm gonna try it for 1 week. Whatever you set for yourself. Just set that goal. See if you can meet it. And when you fail, just try again tomorrow. That's all we can do. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like it was a little all over the place, but you guys get the idea. We're just planting those seeds, and maybe one day the garden will grow. I love you guys. That's all I've got. Join us next week, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, for coffee and a chat if you want to hang out with us for a whole hour and talk about this kind of stuff and just have a good time. Or you can see me here afterwards every week for a little summary and a little takeaway. And what else? Oh, and we've got yoga classes twice a week, Mondays at 4 for like a Hatha Vinyasa style, and Fridays at 10 for something a little bit different. And it ends with a really juicy, yummy yoga nidra. So maybe those can be your self-care. I promised the girls mine was going to be a soak because I've been in town now for a couple weeks, and it's all about hot springs here, and I have yet to go visit one. So my promise to myself this week, my juicy form of self-care, is to go take a nice soak in one of the hot springs. So that's what I'm going to be up to. So I'd love to hear if there's a juicy self-care thing you're going to promise yourself this week. Drop me a comment and tell me what it is. Or any other thoughts, ideas, reflections, whatever you want to share. I love to chat with you guys and hear from you. Otherwise, I'm going to hop off and go book my soak. See you guys next week.